Hi, I'm Sergeant Rob, Director of Training for IDD Safe. Today I want to talk to you about an important topic that relates to your safety and well-being when encountering police officers. This message is really aimed at individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and I want to emphasize the importance of being safe and cooperative during these encounters. First, let's discuss what a police use of force means. Use of force refers to the actions taken by an officer to control a situation and ensure public safety. It's crucial to understand that officers are trained to use the least amount of force necessary to achieve their objectives and protect all those involved. The presence of an officer can sometimes be intimidating or make you feel uncomfortable, but it's important to remember that their role is to ensure safety and maintain order. Officers often use verbal commands to control the movements of citizens for everybody's safety. They may ask you to stop, stay still, or follow their instructions. This is done to prevent any sudden movements that could potentially escalate the situation and put anyone at risk. Following these commands helps create a calm and controlled environment. In some situations, officers may need to physically control a person or use empty hand techniques to ensure safety. This can include methods such as guiding your movements, holding your arm, or placing you in a safe position. It's important to understand that officers are trained to use reasonable force, meaning they'll only use the amount of force necessary to handle the situation safely and effectively. During violent encounters, officers may have to use less lethal weapons such as pepper spray or batons. These tools are used to control individuals who pose a threat to themselves or others. However, it's important to note that these tools are usually used as a last resort when other methods have failed, when there's an immediate danger. Their primary purpose is to immobilize or disorient the person just temporarily, allowing the officers to regain control of the situation. It is essential to recognize that under the law, officers are sometimes permitted to use a greater degree of force than a citizen. This allowance is made to enable them to effectively carry out their duties and protect your community. However, it's important to hold law enforcement accountable for their actions, and any use of force should be objectively reasonable and proportionate to the situation. In certain circumstances, officers may be authorized to use lethal force when there's an immediate threat of serious bodily harm and death to themselves or others. This is a decision that is carefully considered, and officers are trained to use lethal force only as the very last result and only when all their options are exhausted. When interacting with police officers, it is important to disclose if you have an intellectual or developmental disability. This information allows officers to better understand and accommodate your needs during the encounter. If you have triggers that can lead to meltdowns when you're touched, it's important to communicate this to the officer and do it clearly and calmly. Lastly, if an officer tries to physically control your movements, it's crucial not to pull away. Pulling away from them can escalate the situation and potentially lead to unintended consequences. It's important to remain as calm as possible and follow their instructions. If you feel uncomfortable or have concerns about the way you're being treated, it's important to report the incident to the appropriate authorities. In conclusion, being safe and cooperative when encountering police officers is of utmost importance. Understand that officers use verbal commands and physical control techniques for everybody's safety. Remember, officers are trained to use the least amount of force necessary, but there are instances where they need to employ more force to ensure public safety. Communicate your IDD triggers and refrain from pulling away if an officer tries to physically control your movements. Stay safe, be informed, and always report any concerns you may have. Thank you for your attention. And always, remember during police contacts, be calm, be cooperative, and stay IDD safe.